Okay. Cool. Hey guys. Oh, is this on?
Just talk loud.
Yeah?
Project.
Can I just talk like this? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, sweet. I'll just do that. All right, cool. My name is Ben Giordano. I'm the founder of FreshySites. Thanks for coming to ReFresh Binghamton. I just wanted to give you guys a little background info on me first before I get started, so you kind of know where I'm coming from, a little bit about like what my history is. So I'm a local guy. I grew up, I went to Manuel right down the road here. I grew up in the greater Binghamton area. I started a marketing company in 2008, 2009, and it was kind of like a marketing company without direction, I would say. So it was really just like whatever kind of work came in the door, whether it was like branding work or print design work or video work or kind of anything I could get my hands on. So that initial company was called Binghamton Marketing, and I ran with that for a couple years. And I ended up landing some pretty decent sized projects, but kind of the story I tell that's always I think resonates with people is that like a lot of my income was tied up in a few big client projects, so it was really hard for me to kind of like go to work each day and like shut it off when I was done. If I had like a big client who needed something done at 7 p.m. on like a Thursday and needed it for Friday, I'd like work all night to make sure that happened. So that was kind of not really the direction I wanted to go in. So in 2010, 2011, I started developing this concept for FreshySites, and that's when that really started taking off. And the idea was instead of doing like a few big projects and kind of doing a little bit of everything, trying to really focus in on web design and web development, and then also take like lower priced projects but get more quantity of them, so that like I could kind of flatten out like my revenue a little bit, so that it wasn't dependent so much on each particular client. So that's kind of FreshySites, and that started 2011. We became a formal LLC in January 2012, and right now we're managing like in the mid 160s for client accounts, and we manage them like day in day out. We help them with updates and all that kind of stuff. And so my role at FreshySites is it's a little bit of everything, but I would say it kind of breaks down into these three main things. I do like web design, web development, and project management. I would say like most heavily project management, and then a little bit of design and development. Okay, so when Sean approached me to ask me like what I wanted to talk about, I thought process would be a really interesting thing to talk about. I've never done a talk on process before. But it's something that I think like really sets us apart, and it's something that I think a lot of people kind of like miss out on, and it's kind of holding back their business or what they do a little bit. So one of the kind of key tenets of process, when I talk about process, I just you can relate it to your specific industry. So if you do like logo design, think about like what the steps are you do for logo design from start to finish. Or if you do another service or another product, there's always kind of a process, whether it's documented or not. So for us, one of the key things I like to think about when I think about process is like just start like outlining your process. It doesn't matter if it's like good or bad, or like if you have it all figured out or you have none of it figured out. Just like pop open a Word doc or a text editor or something and just start like 1, 2, 3. Like what do you do normally? And just, whether it's a quick sentence, bullet point, or like a paragraph or whatever, just start outlining it. It doesn't matter if it's right or if you're going to change it. Just start outlining your process. Then iteration. So one of the other key tenets for our process, for projects for us, is we're constantly changing our process. So while it's good to just get started, you also have to know that those things are going to change, and they're going to change a lot, and you have to be totally okay with that. You can't get too stuck in your ways with how you do something a specific way. You have to be able to change that. If there's a better way, you have to be able to scrap the old way and move to the new way. And then teams, I think for process, there's really no other way to work in teams without having some kind of process. Otherwise, everyone's going to be doing their own kind of path and doing the project their own way, and it's not going to be cohesive, and you're not going to be able to work together as smoothly. And then for another good reason to have kind of like a solid process is clients freak out, which is, I think, really interesting. Like when you go to a client and you say like, here's our process. This is like what we typically do for a website. And you can say like point 1, point 2, point 3. This is what we deliver to you. This is the next step. This is who's involved. This is who's running this part. They like look at you like you're like a freak genius, and it's really like not like rocket science, but just having it outlined and like being consistent really like gives the client a really good feeling that you know what you're doing. Even if you're going to change it the next day or you just changed it last week, at least you have something hard and tangible that you can show them. That's like a process they use. Okay, so our process, I'm going to kind of start diving into like what our process is and what we do for website design. And this is like the 10,000 foot view, so just a quick overview of what we do. We do a consultation phase, and basically what that is we sit down with the client and we figure out like what they need, like what their goals are, what their objectives are, what we're going to be building for them, what functionality it needs, what kind of aesthetic they're after. And then from there, from that kind of information gathering session, what we do is move to a mock-up phase. And in the mock-up phase, we basically take some designs and some ideas and put them together into like real like image files that we can then ship them. They can look at, and give us revisions on, feedback, we'll revise them, and we kind of get like a solid direction for a mock-up phase. Then from that phase, we move to the build-out phase. So that's taking the mock-up and the design direction along with all of their content and information and photos and text and everything like that. And bundling that all onto like a real like live website on a development server that we can send them. And then we send them the link, they go through revisions, they give us a revision doc, we'll go through changes until they're totally happy with it, and then we'll launch it. So like just that, like it sounds like I really know what I'm talking about. Like we have like this whole process, like wow, like you know what you're doing. But it's like it's really not that hard, You could whatever design or development or project you guys do, you could sit down for 2 hours and like come up with what I just said. And then that is a really amazing thing you can tell clients about, and they can repeat that to other people, and they feel like you have a solid process that they're paying for, and they're getting good value out of you because you know what you're doing. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is take you into a few detailed steps for our process. So this is just like an overview slide, so don't worry that you can't read it. But this is a project management tool we use, and basically the layout is these are all of our steps in our process along with headings, and then there's a little icon showing like who's responsible for each step. So when we get a new project in, someone decides they want to build a website with us, what we do is we just take this template and we copy it over, rename it for their project, and then we have 40 steps that we can just repeat every single time that we know, okay, these 40 things need to get done in order for us to launch this website for the client and for them to be relatively happy with it to go through our process. And then on the right here, you can see kind of some side notes for each specific task. All right, so this is just a zoomed in version. Like if it was a taller screen like this would be under here. But yeah, so this is our process for building a website. So I just wanted to run through a few of the different kind of headings and tell you maybe a little bit about a few lessons we've learned along the way. So pre-build is this first heading up here. And what we do there is we go through a creative brief with the client. So we just set up like a simple Google Doc. It's like a survey, right? It's like 15 or 20 questions. And it asks things like, what's the name of your company? What color scheme do you like? Do you have a logo? Do you have a sitemap? Like just basic overview questions. And we send that to every single one of our new clients. That all kind of compiles in the back end in a nice Google Docs spreadsheet, which like our team can kind of look at. And if we have a question or we're like, what pages do they want? We can always revisit that document. And we even do that sometimes, like if a client comes to us and they already know what they want, we've known them for a while, and we've had a few meetings, and like we don't really need to formally do the process. Like I just asked Kelsey to do this the other day. We sometimes will even do it ourselves. Like we'll go in there and fill out the creative brief, knowing what we know about the client, so that we have that documented and we can reference back to it. So I think like even in exception cases, like it's still important to kind of to follow the process as much as you can. So we typically do a creative brief. We also like get all of our billing information set up. We copy like a template folder with all of our subfolders and files and everything that we're going to need for the project. And then what we do is we move to the mock-up phase, like I mentioned. So in the mock-up phase, we build our websites on theme frameworks and premium themes. So we pick out a few themes we think the client will like. We mock up those themes. And then those themes go to me for an internal review. And then I'll OK them. And then we send them to the client. And we even have like a little email template that we copy and paste into the client when it's time to send them the email and the mock-ups. Like, hey, Joe, here's your new mock-ups. These are rough mock-ups, like da-da-da-da-da. Let us know what your feedback is. So we don't have to retype that every time. We know it's consistent. We know the client's getting like a consistent message and getting consistent marketing from us. And then another thing I wanted to kind of touch on as a little side note for the mock-up phase is we kind of believe in, at least I kind of do, and I think I've kind of pushed this down through the company, in getting something like tangible as soon as possible. I think especially with people who don't do this kind of thing every day, like if you think about it, if you're doing like a web design project or like a brochure or like a logo redesign or something, the client you're working with like has probably never done that before. And if they have done it, they probably only do it like once every 5 years or once every 10 years, or they might have done it when they first started or whatever. But you kind of live and breathe this every day. So I think it's really important to give them something that they can actually touch and see and feel, because really, I think a lot of people who don't do this every day, you can conceptualize all day, but until they see it, they might not know exactly what you're thinking or how to give you feedback or how to respond. So we try to get to like mock-up phase as soon as possible. We'll just give them 3 JPEGs and then, go ahead.
A question, if it's okay to ask.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah.
When working with a client, here's my issue's always been, especially you talk about spreading it out to smaller clients. I agree with what you say. It's good to get out of your head on there so they can see what you're talking about. Where do you draw that line between you are now a paying client versus we're selling to you? Selling to you versus a paying client.
Yeah.
Because putting something down on paper, in many cases, is the whole project.
Right. Totally.
And if you're still in the sales process, you're kind of in a tough spot if they don't go along with it.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. Yeah,
and that's always been my biggest struggle at this level, this type of project.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. If anybody else has questions, feel free to like shout out or whatever too. That's great. So we're pretty cutthroat around here. Like, it's typically like, okay, you want to get started? Sure, yeah. We'll just need your credit card number. Oh, you want to get started? Okay, sure, yeah. Well, as soon as we get the check in the mail, we'll get started. I think you really have to be pretty tight with that, because people will push you, and until you tell them like, hey, look, like we need to get paid, and we actually sometimes I'll catch a little flack for it, but we like take payment up front for the whole project. Like a lot of people do like half down, half upon completion, and we'll do that for some clients that we know are good for it or that we've worked with before or whatever, but for people we don't know or we've never worked with before, like we're getting paid for 100% of the project before we do 1 hour of work. Because I think people if they really want to work with you and they trust you and you can give them good references, they shouldn't have a problem with that. And for us to go around chasing people for money or put in 5 hours on a proposal or 3 coffee meetings and then just for people kicking tires, like that's really hard. That eats up your day, that eats up your time. And then you have to end up charging the real paying customers more to compensate. So we're pretty strict about it. I would say like, I'll typically do like one quick meeting, maybe like half an hour, 45 minutes, just as like a consult for free usually. Someone wants to stop by the office and talk about the project. We can kind of scope it out. And it's really, for me, it's information gathering, so I know like how much to charge or like what the scope of the project is, all those kinds of things. But beyond that, I mean, I don't give them concepts. I usually don't give them mock-ups. We just had one exception, but sometimes, or if they do want mock-ups, they want to see it. Usually, it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but give us 10% of the project cost, and we'll credit that to the total project price or whatever. I think people have to have like skin in the game for them to like really take it seriously. Until they give you, actual money, it's all kind of like up in the air. So I think you got to charge up front at least something to get started or take any serious steps. Yeah.
And how do you decide when you need to charge for scope creep? Do you run into that a lot?
Yeah. I'm such a softie about it. That's like, if you guys want to get like way more work than you pay for, like tell me it's gonna be this, and then keep asking me for things. I'll like do it all day. It's so bad. But no, it's like usually I don't know. It's kind of like a feel thing. I think maybe it depends on the industry. Like I think this all ties back into marketing too, for us at least, because I'm probably like I said, softer on some people than I should be, but at the same time, for me, it's like almost marketing costs. You know, like I would rather make that client happy enough to tell their friend than like get an extra $50 or like $100 or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
So I think it's like art. It's like more art than science, and you probably, if it's like something you can just kind of throw in, or maybe you can like work a little bit more and like make them really happy. That's kind of the philosophy I subscribe to. But there's definitely cases where people are like clearly out of bounds, and you have to be like, look, like this is great, like no problem, we totally do this, but it's going to be like an extra half day, and like here's my rate, you know, like. And usually people are really cool with that. I'm getting better at charging for those kinds of things, and less scared of like client blowback. And people, I think if you have a good working relationship with them and they respect the work you're doing, they don't mind throwing you extra money for extra work. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, great. Okay, cool. So the mock-up phase, like, so that's kind of, we try to get there as quickly as possible and get them some real tangible, like JPEG files they can look at and they can see. And then we get feedback on those. We'll do revisions. We'll nail down a design direction, get them to approve one of the 3 mock-ups we give them. We also try not to give like 5 or 7 or 10 options. Like I think when people hire you as a designer, they want you to think for them a little bit. Maybe not like crazy, like, you know, tell them exactly what they should be doing, but that's kind of what they're paying you for. So maybe narrow down their options a little bit so that they're not overwhelmed, or the project doesn't get kind of like going in crazy directions. So we usually give them 3 options, get feedback, do revisions, get one approved, and then we move straight into the development phase. So while we're doing the mock-ups, we assign tasks to our clients. And this has really helped our efficiency too in our process. We were kind of, for like the past year or so, we've been just like taking whatever clients give us. Like so it could be Word docs, it could be like a folder of images, like random logo files, like all different formats and sizes. And it's sometimes like people even like straight up like hand draw their website and be like, here, I want this. I'm like, oh no. But so we've been like really working on our input process. Like so like there's this whole thing that like corporate America and like all the like legit like big companies, like business process management. So I was like doing a little research on that and like trying to become like an official businessman, and like they really focus a lot on inputs. So like kind of having like a consistent input, group of inputs, allows your process to run like smoother, because if your inputs are all different and like coming to you in different formats, like if people are sending you Word docs and Pages docs and text docs and all this different stuff, and it's all different formats and headings, and they all do it a different way, you have to like start over every time, which is crazy. So we've been really focusing on like kind of taking all of our customers and like really narrowing down the way they can give us content and things to go on their website. So we've been using a tool called Gather Content, which is awesome. It's out of a little web shop in the UK, I think. And they were like a web design company turned into like like a product company. And they basically have this project management tool where you can go in and like create a sitemap, and then each sitemap can have like a page content, and like you can upload like photos and videos and PDFs and whatever you want to it. So what we do is we typically like outline the website, show them what pages there are, and then they go in, give them a username and password, and they like type in all their text, and they add all their photos. And then what we can do is we can like export that all to folders, shows all their pictures like in hierarchical folders, so we know exactly what pictures go on what page. We can just resize them. We can pull all their text in. We use WordPress for our site development. They even have like a WordPress plugin that you can like straight up export the stuff right into WordPress. Will like create the pages for you and stuff, which is awesome. So that has kind of like changed a lot of our upfront process. Like at the beginning of the summer, we weren't using this at all, and it was like I would say a big chunk of our day was just organizing like the craziness that clients would give us. But now we can funnel them to this project management tool and like maybe answer a few of their questions about how it works, and then they can just kind of have at it. It gives them control, and they just send us an email like, hey, ready to go, and then that goes right into our process, and that goes right into the build section of the FreshySites model. So so we take all that information and we build out the website. We don't do like any interior page mocks. We don't do like anything else. We just start building it. We try to get to like live working website as quickly as possible. So we build everything out in the development server, like development domains. They can actually navigate to it, see it, click it, use it just like it would be their real live website. And then they give us feedback on that. And that still comes to us, I usually say Word doc, so we should probably change that. But yeah, so we get client feedback on the website, and then we just make revisions on it until they're happy. And then we launch it, and then we help them with ongoing maintenance and any updates they need. Any questions on any of that? No? Cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, so I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit about this project management tool that we use. So this is like the mock-ups phase. So we have 4 distinct steps, like I was saying. So Kelsey's the icon is the little dog, so she's in charge. So Kelsey and Sean both work here at FreshySites. And so Kelsey's in charge of choosing the themes. So she goes into Theme Forest and she'll pick out the themes that we want to use for the client. And then usually she'll post those, and then I'll get the comment, and then we'll approve them. Then she goes straight into mocking up the themes. Then I'll internally review the mockups and then email the mockups. So every time we get a new project, like we copy this over and like bam, like Kelsey has those 2 steps to do, I have my own 2 steps to do. And then this is that third pane in the project management tool. So I took it even a step further because of my OCD, and like I actually like outlined every single step within the step. So this tells you, like if some designer walked in off the street and they needed to do mock-ups, like my hope is that they could pull this open and be like, oh, this is how I do it, you know? And so you like copy and paste a screenshot, you crop and resize, then like you save it in 3 different named folders in the specific client folder in Dropbox, and then you mark the task as complete. So this is like step by step of the one task within the mock-up phase. And I have this done for probably like half of the 40 steps in our process. And then this is just a sample of showing you kind of like Sean and I corresponding on a client. So I think this is just an example of like process in teams and like that teamwork kind of thing of like knowing kind of like how you talk to each other and what the process is for communication and that sort of thing. So this is great. You can see like right off the bat, I don't know if Slide's blocking it, but you can see it's like the BatesTroy.com project and then the client feedback section. And then the client said they just want to make sure to integrate the look from the mockup 6 that we had sent them. So you can see down here, I attached the mockups that Sean could see it, and then Sean said I just added the background and linked me to the update. And then I just said looks great, and he marked it complete. So this is just like a very fluid way to kind of go through the process. Yeah.
So just is all your client feedback being filtered through you? Do clients have access to this tool? Or?
No. So yeah, that's a really good point. So like, it's tough because a lot of our clients, especially, are non-technical or like they're not super technical. So so you kind of, it's hard to know like where the gray areas are and where the lines are in terms of like what you can make them responsible for. Like I have, like gather content is easy enough to use where I'm pretty confident sending it to the majority of my clients, and if there's someone who I know like won't be able to use it, we'll kind of use it for them. Like when they send us stuff, we'll outline it, we'll put the stuff in. But Asana, our project management tool, I feel like is a little too advanced for most people. So so we usually just keep that internal. And so like when the client gave me this piece of feedback, I just loaded it in and assigned it to Sean, and then he took it from there.
So how do you get that feedback? It's just like an email?
Usually just email.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we have a client, like I would say, I'm kind of like the onboarding manager, like project manager guy. So I kind of like do the initial meeting. I'll send them the email about the mockups. I get their feedback, and then I kind of like the internal client almost for our team, you know, like so I'll work with Kelsey and Sean, tell them like what the feedback is, or sometimes I'll do the feedback myself or whatever, put it into Asana, and then kind of go from there. Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you what was the name of the
Yeah.
project management system, but why did you use this one? I mean, there's tons of on the market, Basecamp, intervals, just to name a few. And I've tried a lot of them, and I'm still haven't found that perfect tool.
Yeah.
So I know it's actually free, right?
Yeah.
So that's it.
That's one of the main reasons. But yeah, no, it's amazing. It's free up to 30 users. Crazy. It's they're doing a really good job. I think it's like a couple of Facebook devs that spun off and started it. And so the user interface is just beautiful and really seamless, and it's not more than you need, but it's enough to get the job done. And they're continually adding really nice features, but they're really well thought out, so it's not overdone.
Does it have a calendar actually?
You can do
dates, or you see as a calendar, and then you get emails.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can click due date up there and then assign due dates. You can assign to people. Each task can have subtasks. It's integrated with Dropbox. There's a few other things, but yeah, you just create a free account and start playing with it. What was I just gonna say? The actual calendar and milestones. That's still one of the key differentiators between this and Basecamp. So everyone on the Asana blogs, we need milestones, but yeah, so they have a few things that Basecamp doesn't. Basecamp does a few things they don't. But overall, we're super happy with it. Another really sweet thing about it is I'm a Gmail all day kind of guy. So everything is fully integrated with email. So if you just use your email for notifications, if Kelsey comments on something, or if she pastes links to themes for me to check out, I can pop them. I get the email in my Gmail. I can pop them open. You can respond directly to that, and then it logs it all, and she gets it. So it's fully integrated with email, which is really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we really love it. Which brings me to our tools. Yeah.
I just had a quick comment.
Yeah.
I use Asana, Basecamp, Salesforce, and a program called Todoist.com. And if you guys don't know what Todoist is, it's an online to-do list, and it integrates right into your Google Chrome. So your to-do list will be right in the right-hand corner. It's awesome. But by far, Asana, even though we pay out the nose for Salesforce, and we have Basecamp, Asana is the easiest to use and to get everybody on board with. It really is.
It's just so well thought out. Right?
It is. It really is. I mean, and especially if you're around our age, and if you're a Facebook user, you'll do fine.
Okay, you track the time.
If you use Harvest, have you heard of Harvest?
I use them, but it's integrated with Asana or no?
Yeah, you have to use Harvest. GetHarvest.com. It's a time tracking invoicing company out of New York, and they integrate with Asana for time tracking.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we use Asana for some support tasks too that are more long term. We also use it as a really lightweight customer relationship management system, CRM. You're getting all the buzzwords. So we have the headings. There's some really cool. If you go to the Asana website, they have some really great video kind of samples showing you how people use it differently, case studies almost. And then you can set up your own projects and tasks the same way. So we use it as a lightweight CRM. We don't need a full-blown Salesforce. Because it's just me basically doing business development stuff. So I have different stages I move clients through, and then if I have proposals, I attach them, or if I have email conversations, I just copy and paste. So I kind of keep track of what's going on, what stage people are in, that kind of thing. Cool. So that brings us to our tools section. So for project management, we use Asana. For quick communication, we use GChat. That's mostly password copy and pasting. Which brings me to, actually I didn't put it on the list, but we use LastPass for password managers, which if you guys are doing anything digital across managing multiple sites or multiple accounts on things, LastPass is really great. You can share passwords with team members and then revoke them or push updates or do whatever you want. It's really great. For support tickets, we use Help Scout. So again, process iteration, we were doing everything through email, but then we decided to use Help Scout, and now we do tickets, support requests. If we ever get a support request, we just forward it to Help Scout and kind of filter everyone through that funnel now. And then for client content, we use Gather Content. Okay, real quick wrap up. So for what we've noticed for our process, these are a few of the key things that I think have really changed because of our kind of strict use of process. Consistency. like we know kind of what we need to do for each project, and I feel like our clients usually get about the same kind of deliverables out of each phase and out of the project as a whole. And then that helps with, of course, that's like fully related to our marketing and what clients think of us and our word of mouth and referrals and all of that. And then also it's process, not memory reliant. So this is big for like teammates. If you're like a single designer and you're doing a logo design, like maybe you know exactly kind of what you do, but as soon as you get like a second team member in on it, you have to tell them every step of the way what to do. And if they can't commit that to memory and do it the same way you do, it's like totally reliant on the person. It needs to be reliant on the process. So whatever you're doing should just stop like with the process. You shouldn't have to like ask the person and like worry about if the person remembered to do this or remembered to do that. Efficiency and speed, we can just communicate quicker, we can get things done quicker. Sean's not waiting on Kelsey's not waiting on me, I'm not waiting on them. Like, we can kind of just fluidly move through projects. And then lastly, happy clients. Like I mentioned before, people, like you have like a process that's outlined and well done, and you've worked through it, and like after a year of using the process, you worked out a lot of the kinks, and you're making changes, making it better. Clients, you present this to like a group of like people who've been in business for 30 years, and they look at you like, whoa, dude, like where'd you come up with that? Like, so happy clients, which is obviously what everyone wants. Any questions or anything? Any of it? No? Cool, awesome.
Great.
Thanks guys, I really appreciate it.